Kia ora, welcome back to Video Drones. I like television. Not all television, I'm very discerning, but I like it more than Nick. So these are going to be some television-based videos I'm going to make without him. He does like some of the greats though, like Twin Peaks and True Detective and Hannibal, and I've even found a few that suit his discerning tastes as well. But generally, yeah, he's not so into TV, and that's a whole nother discussion. And I love television because it gives me a greater chance to get into the characters and the stories, and of course some absolutely amazing big screen actors and directors are being involved with the new series these days. So I think there's some great stuff out there, but yes, there is so much crap, and sometimes it's really hard to find the good stuff, you know, the diamonds and all the coal, because there's a lot of coal in television. And one of those shows, okay, so Nick's a massive fan of The Godfather, and I've recently finally viewed it. I don't know why it took me so long. It was just one of those things, you know, I just wanted to wait for the right time, the right person, by the great Francis Ford Coppola, or Coppola, depending on how you want to say it. So we love The Godfather. Nick knows an awful lot about everything around the filming of it, all the sort of lore and all the stories, even about the producers. So we heard there was a show coming out called The Offer, which is all about the making of The Godfather. So we were like, yay, that sounds great, let's watch that. Oh man, okay, there was one good thing about this show, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but first of all, let me tell you, it is so bad in so many ways, and it's amazing how they managed to screw this up, because it could have been so good. But from the very opening credits, you're just like, music doesn't suit The Godfather. It's like some sort of cut price budget Mad Men intro. The credits are just, what are they even? The music supervisor, what are you up to? You know, do you want to just choose all the most generic, most boring, most bland, like ill-fitting for the mood songs that there is in existence? I've actually noticed this with a lot of shows. Their music supervisor just sucks, blows completely, is just useless at their job. If you have a big issue with me saying this, please contact me, because Nick Hart would do a much better job of choosing music for anything. I don't know, it will ruin a show. Like, I'm watching a show at the moment that I really like. Great actors, great cinematography, terrible music choices. Like, why? It's just an easy thing to do, to find, you know, songs that aren't as well known but fit really, really well. I don't think the people who are the music supervisors and these kind of things actually know what the hell they're doing, and I don't think they know music, and I don't think they care about music, and they're definitely not musicians. So right off the bat, music was just cringeworthy terrible. So you suck, music supervisor for The Offer. And what else? Okay, well, we've got some really quite good actors. We've got the young chap he's not so young anymore, but he is in the movie Whiplash. His name, he's playing this guy called Albert Ruddy. And Nick had really never heard of him, but he's inserted himself. So Nick Ruddy is a producer, and he inserts himself into the story of The Godfather, like he is the central cog in the machine that made The Godfather, that without him it wouldn't have been made, that he had to deal with gangsters and all this drama, and he's like this squeaky clean hero, and I'm not buying it. No one is that perfect, and also no one had really talked about him or heard about him. Who is this guy even? Apparently he accepted an Oscar, and that's about it. So the main central character to this is just like, he's just obviously so biased and so full of himself and fluffing himself up to be some sort of, central figure in the story of The Godfather, where that just doesn't seem to be true at all. So I don't like his character, because he's way too squeaky clean. No one is that squeaky clean. And then you see Juno Temple, like, what? I was like, that's not Juno Temple. Okay, she looks like she's aged like 30 years since the last time I saw her in something, and it's really upsetting, actually. Now, I can't confirm this, but apparently she has this blue butterfly in her Instagram, and that apparently can be a pro-anorexia sign. And I think I'm allowed to speak about eating disorders, because I've had a raging one and I still struggle with it to this day. I mean, it's not like I'm coming from a place where I don't understand the intense pressure for women to be thin and to look a certain way. But she is skeletal, her skin is stretched over her bones, she looks leathery, she looks aged, she looks so tense, and it's really stressful watching someone that thin and malnourished and just bony just try to act her way through this series. And if she is pro-anorexia, that is really, really disturbing, because she's, an interesting woman and she's chosen interesting roles, and I had a lot of respect for her, but now it's very disturbing, it's very distracting, and it's really, really, really sad. And I just hope she's not trying to say that being that thin and that emaciated is a good thing in any way. It is very disturbing. So that's kind of a whole other thing. But the thing is, this show is trying to do everything. It's a bit of a feminist story, it's a bit of a gangster story, it's a bit of a, I don't know, just so many different things kind of work together, and they don't. It's janky, it doesn't work. And okay, so there's this guy who just keeps popping up in all sorts of things, just like Jesse Plemons. So he's this bland, boring, filler sort of actor. His name is Dan Fogler. I've seen him in The Walking Dead as well. I think he's in a new Harry Potter movie, not that I pay any attention to it, I just saw it in a credit and I was like, oh, not him again. Like Jesse Plemons, he just plays himself, and he is just, he's not a good actor, he just plays himself, and it's like a place filler. And so Francis Ford Coppola is a really charismatic, really intelligent, really interesting guy, and he's played by this actor that's just like a potato, just like Jesse Plemons. I mean, he looks quite similar, but that doesn't matter. You want to get someone who actually has that energy and that amazing presence, because and actually there's very little sort of said about what Coppola was doing before that. And, you know, I don't know, I haven't really got to that part of the movie, but we got to the part of the movie where, okay, we've had one episode where Al Pacino was introduced. That's not Al Pacino. That's never gonna be Al Pacino. Like, he doesn't sound like Al Pacino, he doesn't look like Al Pacino, he has none of the presence of Al Pacino. This is just some random guy, it seems, just some random casting, and he sucks. And it is an insult to Al Pacino, but we hung on in there because we're like, well, maybe it'll get better. And then we got to the episode where they introduced Marlon Brando, and that was when I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. They butchered Marlon Brando. A lot of people can do Marlon Brando. They can do him really well. He's not a difficult person to emulate. Yet this actor, whoever he is, I don't care, just could not do Marlon Brando. And it was very disturbing and very depressing, and at that stage we decided that we didn't really care what direction this series was going in. We weren't going to watch it anymore. It is just junk. I gotta say that we've got, what's his name? So the guy who wrote the book, what's his name? The guy that wrote the book, I can't find his name. The guy who wrote The Godfather, the actor that plays him, he's got a lot of charisma. He's really likable. There's a scene where he's lying in a pool, like in this like sort of like a lilo sort of thing in a pool, and he's just got this huge plate of lasagna on his stomach and he's just eating it. And I was like, I love this character. I love this guy. Puccini or something? Oh, sorry about that. I can't quite remember. But yeah, that was a nice moment for me. I really liked how they portrayed him, and I liked his character. I thought he was very lovable, and the actor that plays him is great, you know. And it was quite interesting to see what sort of was going on behind the scenes in terms of creating the script. That was quite good. But the one thing that almost makes us want to keep watching it, and the one thing that makes the show like really hard to ignore, is we've got the legendary producer Robert Bob Evans is played by an actor called Matthew Good. Now, I don't know Matthew Good really. Apparently he was in Straight Man, or there's a film that he's in, and he plays a gay man's partner. This is where I really need Nick, because he can just be like, it's that person, it's that person, it's that person. But he a single man. It's called A Single Man, and apparently he plays the lover of the main character. So it's not as big a role, but he's still very good. This guy, Matthew Good, he not just plays Bob Evans, he kind of is him, but he's even more Evans than Evans. It's amazing. And I saw a quick video of him chatting, and I thought, you know, I was like, okay, he must be American at least. He must have quite a deep voice, must be quite nasal, like, but no, Matthew Good is an English actor. And he has a completely different voice. And when you see him being interviewed, it's not like he's lacking charisma, but he just seems quite calm and reserved and nice. But he plays this character that has charisma plus, like, it's just oozing out of him. And I studied speech and drama for several years, and I have no idea how Matthew Good managed to get Bob Evans's voice so perfect. Bob Evans is a producer, and he did Chinatown and, of course, The Godfather and Rosemary's Baby. A very, very interesting man. Probably not the greatest person in some respects, but he's so lovable and so interesting. And there's a documentary about him. So I would say just ignore this show, except for what Matthew Good is doing. And there's a show called The Kid Stays in the Picture, and it's a documentary about Robert Evans. And that, even though it only talks about the Apocalypse Now sort of situation for quite a short time, is so much more fun and well edited, and the music is so good. It is a fantastic documentary, and we watched that last night and I loved it, and I was like, Bob Evans is so interesting and amazing. And he had he sort of worked his way up from nothing. He was an actor, he was a producer, and then he hit some scandals bang on the 80s, just like in Boogie Nights. It's like everything's great until the 80s hits and things went really downhill for him, but he still managed to resurrect his career. Yeah, fascinating guy, and he is the absolute highlight of the show. He makes it worth watching, but it's still not good enough to just keep watching. But I mean, from this, Matthew Good, dude, I don't know how you did that with your voice. Your charisma is incredible. We loved your performance, and the only thing that I think that could be really good that could come out of this show is that Matthew Good gets more roles, because he's freaking amazing. So in that respect, I'm glad we watched it. But yeah, it's a steaming mess. It stinks. It sucks. It's just so bad and disappointing that it turned out this way, and there's just no way I'm going to continue to watch this desecration of The Godfather. Apparently there's a really good book. There's a book, Easy Riders Raging Bulls, which goes into some detail on the making of The Godfather and that kind of whole process. So that's also something you could look into if you found this, if you're interested in the subject of the making of The Godfather, but you also, like me, cannot stand how bad it is. So, man, like, wow, it could have been so cool, and it's not. And the other really weird thing is that it's getting really highly rated. What's that all about? It's almost as highly rated on IMDb as The Godfather itself. So I don't know what's going on there. I think maybe a lot of people have really bad taste. Maybe Nick and me were kind of having a discussion about how, like, you could say that TV people aren't quite the same sort of people as cinema people. But I mean, I like some TV. I mean, that's also saying that, like, TV people will rate things higher because, I don't know, why they're not as discerning, perhaps, or they don't have as good taste. So that's a conversation for another day. I'd actually really like to know why some really great things like Vivarium and In the Earth and St. Maud, really good horror films, get rated so low when drivel like this big steaming mess with very little artistic merit and soul, get rated so highly. Like, why does that happen? Why? If you know, let me know. But if Matthew Good wasn't in this, it would, you know, I'm just going to give it a 1 heart for Matthew Good's amazing performance as Bob Evans, and I hope to see him in a lot more things and run away as fast as you can from this terrible turd of a series. Not good. But tune in if you want to see what I think is good in the future, because every now and then I get to the point where I'm like, I have to fucking say something about this series because it's driving me crazy. And sometimes it can be a good thing, and sometimes it can be a bad thing. And in this case, it is a bad thing. Have a lovely week, everyone. Bye.